What's up, supporters? Sorry for the delay in videos. It's a lot of it just happens to be I'm insanely busy. I just had a kid recently, son, and that situation is the kid's great, everything's great with it, healthy, but there's drama with some other aspects of that I'm trying to cope with. So that's taking up a huge part of my time, along with a lot of these projects that I'm doing, including one I just got done with Bondurant, which is a racing school. Jack, when we went on a press trip, FCA, the head of SRT at the time, he said, we are supplying all our vehicles to Bondurant. Contact them and see if maybe you could do a video on driving, which is right up my alley. So we kind of pitched Bondurant this idea of we want to show people the value of learning how to drive. Where this is not, I don't want to pitch the track day bro, the racing bullshit to people because a lot of people are intimidated by it or they don't care about racing or track driving. But the approach is Bondurant has gone through some difficult times because of the previous ownership. They now have enthusiast-owned owners that are putting a lot of money in it. But the interesting part is their instructors have been there for between 15 to 40 years. And the head instructor has taught race car drivers, celebrities. I'm not talking about like B celebrities or like wannabe race car drivers. They've taught some of the best in the industry there. And having access to these people can really help tell a story and show people what it's like to learn how to drive. And that's what I'm trying to do. Less focused on the car because the message is cars come and go. And that's true. We all go through all these cars, and some we don't remember. We spend and lose a lot of money on them. But the one thing you take with is what your experience is and your ability to drive those cars. So if you're a sports car person, you may not know how to drive, but you love sports cars. You may not even be getting what you need to get out of those and enjoy them completely. So we're going through that process, showing what it's like, the tips, the tricks, all that stuff about driving a vehicle, and then interviewing all the people that have been in this, doing this, helping people for so long. And it sounds great when I say it that way, but putting it all together and making sense of it, where the video will be watched, respected, and helpful is a totally different story. So a little bit about the trip. I don't want to bore you too much about it, but they agreed to pay for lodging. They agreed to pay for the food and about 1 million bottled waters because it was 115 degrees in Phoenix. I had Steve, who's a Patreon. He's the guy with the Miata RF that we did a long time ago. He lives there now. He helped. He came out, spent his time, put us up in his house to feed us, help film in the heat, just be supportive. So thanks, Steve. And then we filmed there at the track. And I had to pay for the flights. And because of the weight of all the gear, which was over 240 pounds, so like this whole bag is full of 45 pounds of mounts. You have a slider, tripod mount, my camera bag. That's the huge 70-pound case that I dragged through the Tahoe National Forest during the Mazda event. Drones, boxes, lights, camera bags, cases, racing suit, Nomex rather, gimbal case, helmet case, more bags. And they're like, well, why don't you just ship the gear here? Well, and I did a quote for all the gear, and it wound up being $670 through FedEx and $600 through UPS because of the size and the weight. And of course, freight would have been less, but it would take forever to get there. So yeah, I had to do first class tickets because of the weight. And that's $2,000 for me and Jack. So, that's basically, I'm not making my money back. The shoot went really well. We got a lot of great shots. I learned a lot from it, but sadly, because, I chase a lot of interesting driving shots, I mounted my primary camera on the Formula car, which was hard mounted. It's not like suction, it's a clamp. I took for granted how much vibration goes through that car, and it's it's an interesting lesson because I talked about this when I did the S2000 video, or it was a fine print video about racing and prepping your car. And I said, if you have a car that's high performance and you take it to the track, you want to, after each track day or a couple track days, go and just retorque all the bolts, nuts, because vibration will make things loose. In the case of the camera mount, it only took 2.5 laps before the camera that was screwed on tighter than you could put on by hand literally spun itself off. The other camera's filter spun itself off because it's a threaded filter. The filter actually spun off and flew off, and the camera spun itself off on track, ejected out, destroyed it, and took the lens with it. The lens mount's broken. The lens is broken. The microphone receiver that was on it was broken, this GH5S. But amazingly, this thing still powers on, and I was able to get the memory cards out. It still wrote to the cards, and I was able to back up the settings from this camera when I replaced it with the new one, which I had to get because I need it for low light shots and all the other shit that I do. But sadly, that mistake cost $3,500. And that is a really bitter pill to swallow when a video like this is only going to make maybe $800 back. And that's the sad part of doing some of this, and I understand why people are constantly trying to do like clickbaity videos that are simple, easy, because the return on investment is not there. But again, I'm not chasing like the overall dollar. I want to do stuff of value, but this is where it becomes really difficult. Like shit like this. Like I lost filters. I lost 4 filters in just literally 20 minutes. And all those filters were $500 because, well, people are like, well, why don't you just get shitty filters? Well, you have $1,500, $200 lenses. You don't want to put $20, $40 filters on there because the glass is not perfect and it creates, basically you're destroying the image and all the money that you have invested in a lens when you put on a shitty filter. So, of course, the filters are more expensive. I mean, it's all this stuff that goes into the camera gear that honestly I never thought about until I started spending more money in it. But also, this is the whole point of Patreon, right? I'm making money off the YouTube stuff, which is not a lot, and then I have the monthly income from the support of you guys and girls, so I could not worry as much about this. I can go and take some of these risks, which I don't want to lose. I don't want to spend this money on a camera and all this shit, but it allows me not to be afraid of pushing and doing new things because there is people supporting. There are people that appreciate this, and the fact that I can take certain risks with equipment to get different shots. Like I came in after I lost the camera and I told Steve and Jack, I'm like, I got good news and bad news. They're like, oh shit, what? I'm like, well, the car's okay. I didn't crash it, but I lost the camera. And Steve was like, you're really calm. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm okay with, and I'm not okay with losing all that money, but there's worse things, and I was really trying to get some cool shit done, like really trying to get these shots, and I'm okay with that risk because I really want to do better. I want to make these videos better. So it's just, again, doing this is not like a traditional job, and I totally understand it, and it's not going to be easy, and I'm still okay with not just selling out and cashing in. But again, it's just trying to be smart, trying to learn from this. So next time when I do this, I don't want to be, losing all that money, but I also want to get the shots that make the video look cool. So it's all a balancing act. But yeah, so you're going to see that video on Bondurant. You're going to see a video on a GT350, our replica race car from the 60s that Tri Industries gave me, which I'll have that video out next week, Monday. And then we have the 911T from them, which I'm going to release on Patreon early. I'm holding it for November. I'm going to be holding a lot of videos for November and December because ad rates go way up, and I know that's really bad to say, but it's true. If I can release 2 videos a week in November and December, the money is literally twice that of what it is right now. So any like cool cars, it makes more sense for me to do later on. But I will release everything on Patreon or as soon as it's done. That way, you guys are not waiting. Not that you are waiting, but that way you get access to them. And then Jack's dad is picking up a GT3 Touring as his like retirement. Like that's his dream car. So I'm going to have, my goal is to have, because I think that's literally one of the best cars in the world. One of the best cars ever made from engine sound, drivability, transmission. It's got a manual trans. I'm going to make a ridiculous video on the GT3, combining pretty much everything that I could possibly do with my own skill level, is trying to max it out in terms of sight, sounds, the sound of it, the difficulty in shots, motion shots, all this stuff. So that's going to be a huge project that I'm going to try to do. So I'll be curious to see what everybody says about that. Um, and then just trying to get my shit together, get cleaned up, get reorganized. And yeah, that's it for right now. I know that's a long video, but that's what the deal is. And thanks for watching.